So previously, we started setting up our inventory management system, and we did so by building our database of items, right? So item sub-0 is actually just an empty slot item, okay? Nothing's in there. It tells us that it's open. You could put something in there. And when we pick up an item that's labeled ID number 2, we know that that is named the bowel obstructor. It's a weapon, right, because we've got our type 1 here, and it is unique, meaning, meaning you can't have more than one, and the damage is 2. All of these can be changed, both in-game through code and later on, and you can always add more items throughout as well. But for right now, make it simple, okay? Keep it nice and simple. Well, now we have to think about how we're going to keep track of what items Bob is actually carrying, okay? And we're going to limit Bob to just 5 items at any given time, okay? So in order to do that, we need to set up another global variable structure. So let's go ahead and let's hit our plus sign here, and let's call this one Bob inventory, and we'll hit the plus sign next to it to set up our first parent, and we're gonna make 5 of these child variables under Bob inventory. So let's add some more here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These child variables are going to represent the slots that Bob has in his inventory. So we'll call this one, rather than start at 0, we're going to call this one 1, because we'll say it's slot 1, slot 2, slot 3, slot 4, and slot 5. And we want to be able to keep track of what's actually in these slots as well. So let's add some child variables to these. Notably, we need to know if the slot is filled, right? And we'll go ahead and we'll put a 0 here to show that it's not filled. 1 will indicate that it is filled. We're going to need to know what it is, so we'll do item ID, right? And we can go ahead and put 0 there right now because Bob is starting out with nothing, no item in there. Remember, item 0 is just our empty slot, and this is sort of why we did that. Just makes life a little bit easier. And we'll need one more, and that's just to keep track of how many he has. So we can do item count, and we'll say that that's 0. So we're going to add all of these 3 to each one of our slot child variables here. So let's go ahead and do that. 1, 2, 3. We've got is filled. We've got item count. And we've got item ID. And these are all going to be 0 for right now. Same thing for our third slot. 1, 2, 3. Is filled. Item count. And item ID. I know a lot of people would probably be setting up their demo to go like double speed here. I mean, you're more than willing to do so, but part of the reason why I'm not messing with the speed is because I want you to see how much work actually goes into this, right? I mean, this stuff, it takes a long time to set up these things like inventories and whatnot. Okay. So let's take a look at what we did actually here. We already have our database of items itself, right? These are the actual items and their properties. Then we set up a new structure here that is going to help us keep track of what items Bob actually has on him, so that if he finds an item and he has an open slot, right, we can put that item in to I don't know, let's say slot 3 if it's open, right? Is filled as 0 means it's open. I'm going to break this tutorial up into short bursts because they can get very tedious right away. But I think next time we're gonna break free from the big sort of global variable coding here, and we're gonna start working on our actual inventory management screen.